Welcome to Classic Advice. I'm Scarlett, your host. My goal with this podcast is to share my life experience and advice with the purpose to inspire us and challenge us to become better versions of ourselves. Each and every episode will be dedicated to that. Is your house cluttered? Learning to let go of things you no longer need for a decluttered home is what I would like to talk about this week. If you listened to the episode from last week, this is sort of a part B to it, in the sense that I'm going to expand on something that I was thinking about while I was decluttering my home last week. Last week I talked about the benefits of planning out your days and how I got a really big task done of removing some furniture from my home and decluttering a room in my basement. But as I was decluttering the basement, I would come across things and I would hum and haw, and I would put in a pile that was to be discarded or thrown out. And then I would look at it and I felt bad for throwing something out that I felt, I guess, sentimental about. Things that I had from my college days, like a long time ago, almost 20 years ago, that I haven't looked at or used or touched in years. Or, for example, some things that were my grandmother's that I have more than one thing from both of my grandmothers. And I guess I feel bad for letting go of some things that, it's like I only have it because it's hers. It's not anything special at all. It's just, it was hers. And I didn't want to let it go. And while I was cleaning, I was thinking about, do I really need this? Some things I kept. For example, my one grandmother, I have a china set that she used to have. And I don't think I will ever get rid of that, because it really means a lot to me, because it meant a lot to her. And it's something practical that I intend to dig out once my kids are older, because they're still, Riley is still quite young. He's 7. He's almost 8. He'll be 8 in February. So he's not a toddler by any means, but he's still young, and I don't want to dig out my precious china till the kids are in their late teens. Just because if a plate did break and accidents happen, I would be sad about it. So I'm keeping it safe in a box wrapped up in the basement for now. And when the time is right, then I will dig it out. And I fully intend on using it. It's something practical that I love, because then every time I eat, I'll be thinking of her, and it'll make me smile, because she was so fond of laughter, so fond of life, and just full of joy. And it just brings a smile to my face every time I think about her, and those dishes make me think of her. But for now, they're in the basement. So that was an easy decision. No, I am definitely not getting rid of this. But when it came to, say, some things from my childhood, I was like, why am I still hanging on to this? I haven't used this in ages. This set of books, I'm not going to use these again. These might as well be recycled. It was time to let some things go. And yeah, some things I did. I had to think about it, and I would put something in a bag, look at it. No, I'm not ready to let that go. And that's okay. Some things that, some books that I haven't read in years that I never intend on reading again because they're just not that kind of book. But I wasn't quite ready to let them go because they were part of my childhood. And I told myself, you know what? It's okay to keep some things. As long as I have the room for it. So if everything has a place and everything is in its place sort of idea, then that's okay. But the room as it was when it started, it was hard to walk in the room because I just had things everywhere. And a lot of it was just clothes that I had to sort through, from the kids and whatnot that I needed to take and sort through, go through, put in boxes and put on the shelf, essentially. But as long as I had room for it, I told myself, you know what? It's okay to have a couple of boxes from my childhood. It's nice to go in them every now and then. Like, for example, I have these little containers that sort of look like pearls. I mean, they're not pearls, but it's like this little china thing that I used to keep jewelry in when I was a little girl. And I don't use them anymore. But every now and then I do enjoy going down there and going through my box and just reminiscing about my childhood. So I told myself, you know what, it's okay to have one or two boxes, but it's not okay to have 20. So I sorted through and I just really thought about each item. Do I really need this? Am I going to regret not having this anymore? Some things of my grandmother's, I was like, you know what? What would she say if she was here right now? Would she be upset that I'm letting this go? And when I told myself that, I was like, oh, heavens no. She would not want me to hang on to all this stuff and live in a cluttered home and be stressing out about something so, in her mind, ridiculous, because she never lived in a really, she was never sentimental about stuff like this, really, that I ever remember. So I was like, of course she's not. She wants me to just, keeping the memory of her alive in my own mind is what matters. And keeping the stuff just for the sake of keeping the stuff because it was hers is not the point. I keep the china because it was something very dear to her that I will use. It's practical, and she was a very practical person too. So she would love that I'm using her china. But, to keep some random jewelry that I'm never going to wear or use or whatever, not really that important. The lesson here that I'd like us to take away is sometimes what we really need is to let go. To let go of things that no longer bring us joy or value, that are just taking up space, that we're tripping over all the time because they don't have a place and everything doesn't have a place and is in its place. Going downstairs now in that space that is so nice and clean and neat and tidy and put away, easy to find everything that's down there, brings me, a lot of joy that a big job got done, but just peace in general because it's not a mess. It's not cluttered. Do you have a room or a shed or an office that could use a good clean? I have a shed. I have a shed that needs a good clean. That I really just need to start letting go of some things. And it's okay. Are we really going to miss it in the end? I can tell you right now that I don't regret a single thing that I got rid of yesterday. They had a time and a place. Did I use all those things in college that I had stored down in the basement? I did when I was in college. They had their time and their place, but I'm in a different place now and I don't need them anymore. So I might as well give them to someone that can use them, or if it's the case, just throw it out. Now, in your mind's eyes, I'd like you to imagine that space that you're thinking about, that you need to declutter, and what it will look like when you're done, and how does that make you feel? Going downstairs in my basement, I love it now. I love it because it's nice and clean, and I'm glad that I've cleaned it up and it's nice and tidy. The shed that I'm thinking about outside that I need to go through and organize and get rid of things that we no longer need, then we'll be able to use that space for something else. And I know my husband already has plans for it. So he already knows what he's going to use it for as soon as we just tidy it up and get rid of the old tube TV and TV stand that's in there. Like, why we have that still, I don't know. But you get my point. It's having your spaces all decluttered and usable again is really, really nice. And walking into your basement and not having that cloud hanging over your head of, oh, I really should do this, but not wanting to let go. That brings us into the challenge of the week. The challenge that I have for you guys this week is this. It's hard letting go of things but I might need it someday, or I might want to read that book again, or maybe you feel bad for throwing something out because maybe it has some sort of sentimental value, or it was given to you by someone and you feel bad for throwing it out. That example of some things that I had at my grandmother's that I was like, would she want this for me? Would she want me to have all this clutter in my home? No. And when I thought about my college stuff, do I really am I ever going to read this stuff again? No. So why am I hanging on to this? Just for sentimental sake? Just to come down here every now and then and look at it? It really gives me nothing other than I don't have the space for something else. I'm not able to have everything in its place because not everything has a place because I just don't physically have the room. The house is only so big. So I kept a couple of things, the ones that really meant the most to me, like that china set, and the memories that I share with her. Those are the things that contain the real value. So my challenge is go declutter that space that you need to declutter. Part B of my challenge, as always, to quote my dear friend JJ down in Maine, is to please pause. Think about, do I really need this? Is it bringing me any sort of value or whatnot? However it is that you want to decide if you keep something or not keep something. Love yourself, and let some things go. And be aware of your ripple. We all have a ripple in this world. Let's make it a positive one. All right, I am lifting up my glass of tea. Here's to you, my friends, for every step that you take to becoming a better you and making it count. Stay classic, you guys, and by that I mean stay excellent, stay awesome, stay amazing, and stay you. Thank you for listening all the way to the very end. You guys are the best. My website is ClassicChronicles.ca. If you would like to head on over there, you can scroll all the way to the bottom, and that is where you can write me an email, and I would love to hear from you. As always, you guys take care, and we will catch you next week. Bye.